Dummy Switch Pod. The boys are back.
Yes,
How are you,
sir. Yes,
Chris?
sir. Quarters. I'm disgruntled this week, but yeah, I'm disgruntled. But I'm good. How are you doing, bro? How are you doing? You must
I'm
be
good.
quite pleased.
I'm good myself. The Dan Carters of podcasting here to give
Yes,
you
sir.
our opinions, our flagrant takes. Just some church announcements before we start. You can catch us here, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and
Hmm.
of course, leave your comments if you agree. If you disagree, you can fight with
Yeah.
us there. Yeah, some week it's been two wins, two losses in terms of our
Mm.
SA teams. With all four of them being away, I had the pleasure myself of
Mm.
being at the Leinster Munster game. 82,000 people. Although I will say
How was that?
it was good. It was very good, great
Mm.
spectacle. But for 82,000 people, you thought there'd be a bit more noise.
Ah,
That's the only thing I have to say. Munster, they tried to get the ball thrown about a bit, but after that first 20, Leinster, the damage
yeah.
was done.
Yeah.
Although, one interesting thing was when RG Snyman came off, there were hissing noises and people were calling him a
Oh.
snake.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
found
yeah,
that
yeah.
interesting.
Very, very, very. But there's Coach Jacques. Coach Jacques, he's doing this thing there, the getting a derby win, so at least we can make that maybe a three for South African teams.
Yeah, we'll claim it as our own. I think let's start with the strongest of the SA teams. Well, at least who I think is the strongest of the SA teams is the Bulls. Bulls getting the win against Ospreys.
Yeah,
Jake not following protocols, sending his box on tour. I think he's had the sort of approach where we're gonna manage individuals rather than just
mm,
as a the box won't play for so many weeks. He says, well, that's the thing going around is that he's gonna manage them as individual players. And like we
yeah,
said last week, this team, what's gonna win them this thing is if they can keep that team and for how long
yeah,
they can keep that team together. There were
yeah,
a few rotations, particularly in the loose forwards, but same strong team, same result.
yeah. And look, it goes back to exactly that, Curtis. With this, when they've got these guys out there, and I think credit to Jake White for doing what's best for his team, and for his objectives. I don't think I don't see too much wrong with it because
Yeah.
considering that some of these guys, even when they do go to camp, they don't necessarily play test matches as much as maybe training might be hard,
Yeah.
harder than the game, but um, yeah, and you see it with the results that the Bulls are getting. They look more settled, better direction. And I think as well, key part to that is, again, that access, Buta 10, Vili 15, and then guys like Sheriff, Ron O'Keefe is just, he's growing in his captaincy, Hobla as well, Steenekamp is just guys that are now getting into that phase in their careers where,
Yeah.
they're settling and they're understanding what they're about and also what the Bulls' objectives are about. And it's it's good. It looks good for them, but then there's also those things that creep in where unnecessary sort of errors, mistakes, and where
Uh, I don't.
discipline issues where they will count against you in the long run, if
Yeah.
you don't sort that out. That's what I'm trying to say is that, you know, yes, as much as it does, you don't need unnecessary pressure. That's all I'm saying,
Okay.
you know?
Okay. For me, I mean, I view it a bit differently. I feel like
Mm,
the
mm,
real red card was a red card, and then after that, the other yellow, the game did disintegrate a bit. But at that point, the points were in the bag. So for me,
mhm.
like I don't I tend not to. The game was over at that point, so I'm not
Yeah.
gonna. For me, it's not like it's not too much. I know for him, Jake, it's probably a headache that you want
Mm,
a full 80-minute performance, but
yeah.
realistically, your team only really needed 60 to get it done. So the other 20 is just guys, just to because that's what they were doing in the end. It was
Yeah.
now they were also having fun and just running it back at one point because it's just like as a contest, this
Yeah.
thing is over.
Yeah, rightly. And because I mean they earned that, like you said,
Yeah,
see the first 60 they did the job, and accurate, the intensity that they showed, and speed of the ball. I think this weekend for me, what one thing that I picked up was, you know, quickness of the ball at the breakdown is key, and then accuracy, what you do with it afterwards, and once they get those waves going, especially the Bulls. And they've got strike runners, clever lines.
yeah,
They've got guys that are making good decisions.
yeah,
So yeah, I understand. I hear that side. I'm just looking at it from a longer
yeah,
term view. Where we see those sort of things. If you don't sort them out, they become habits. And and
yeah. True, true.
and it can sort of be an Achilles sort of heel, But again, not a lot to complain about, because they got the job done and it's away from home, So you just take it.
Yeah, for me, Bulls dominant in all areas in this game. When it came to the scrums, Steenekamp and Low, they were just getting penalties at the scrum. Those classic waves of attack. Willie LaRue as well. He was looking for space
Mm,
in the one wing the whole time there. Kirtley's wing, he was
yeah,
looking for space the whole time. I think he's showing his value again, especially when it comes to URC level. Moody again at 13, running some nice
mm,
lines. For Moody at 13, it's just going to be adjusting defensively because he can play there.
yeah,
It's just more of the adjusting. And Osprey is really the whole game they were just under pressure. I think they were more relieved at that point that they also got to play a bit. But the
yeah. They
Bulls
don't get it
continue.
looking.
Yeah, the Bulls continue. We'll see how this goes. I think they are without Leinster, the team that's looking the best for me in the competition.
Mm,
So we'll see. I mean, if they're gonna do better than last year, then they've got to win this thing, and I think that's the clear objective here.
yeah, but again, it's a consistency. They have to back it up. I mean, you look at the team like Leinster, it's
Yeah,
bonus points all for their games. It's they've got that lead where even a slip up here or there doesn't necessarily affect them, and
yeah.
so yeah, Bulls they just need to keep on, and hopefully they can do something. Hopefully,
Yeah, Ruan Nokia. One thing, the last thing for me on that is just that his involvement. He was involved in I think all of the tries. The
mm,
one try he was a
mm,
scrum off. The Papier try he stole the line out. There was another one where he was the link in between the forwards and the back line. He's involved in everything. So
yeah,
it's he's another one of those guys where, granted, last season he is a great URC player, but coming back
yeah.
from the box,
It's
he's
just another level.
again, it's too easy now. It's too easy now.
Just he
But
just and he just looks bigger in terms of
yeah,
the aura around him is more
yeah,
commanding of what
it's
he's doing.
got the
He's
aura.
looking more assured, of what he's doing and especially as the captain, because, all of a sudden, he's also a Bok, so I
Yeah,
think that responsibility, that weight, it's looking good on him.
yeah, his voice is louder now that he's a Bok.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
chest is out.
That's what I'm
Let's
saying.
talk. Let's talk Sharks now. Sharks versus
uh,
Benetton. Smash
Look,
and
you
grab
said the
last week
best
for the
teams. You
Sharks.
said the best teams, quarters. Hold on. Were you talking about just in terms of personnel or what? Because now you're going from Bulls to Sharks. I'm just saying.
I was just going any next
Yeah,
game. I just any next game.
yeah.
My notes are just here. Any next game. So let's just go Sharks,
Let's go
Sharks
Sharks. Hey
versus
man, you wanna
Benetton.
hurt
Smash
me?
and grab last week. Box. They're returning this coming week.
Mm,
You've got the Fassis, the Sias, Mbonambis, Cork,
yeah.
Ox. They're returning, but still aside in Italy who have pedigree. There's guys there that can play. So
No, they
again,
heard what you
where
said. They heard what you said about Italian rugby. They heard what you said.
but I mean, again, this is a thing where last season it was the Sharks were terrible without their
Yeah,
box. But now they've
yeah,
improved their squad to the point where they shouldn't be terrible without their box.
yeah,
But they're still
exactly.
finding, they're still getting losses like this. And I will say, I'm not going to be one of those people who tries to find an excuse in terms of saying they've been on the road. This is their seventh
Uh-uh,
week, seventh matches. It's
uh-uh.
your job. All of us, we go to
Mm.
work 7 weeks in a row. All of us go to job 7 weeks in a row. So they can also go to the
Yeah,
job 7 weeks in a
yeah,
row. The only thing I'll
yeah,
say is that I don't feel like they played particularly badly. I just feel like Benetton were a lot sharper, a lot more clinical,
yeah,
and they had a good defense. First phase defense for the Sharks was bad against the Dragons the match before. It was
yeah,
even worse in this
yeah,
game. That's a
yeah.
big
We're the
problem
people.
area for
Ba,
the
ba, ba,
Sharks.
but that's all I could hear in my voice every time I was just hearing Gawunda saying, Ba, 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 we're the people, man, because there was just no defense. There was nothing.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't feel like they played particularly badly. It's just they did not have a cutting edge, and
Yeah.
Benetton did to a much
And,
larger extent.
but the thing is, Coders, it's yes, they're not playing badly, with ball in hand because they've got the guys that, they've got that X factor, guys that, they can try and do something.
Yeah,
But it's just not, it's like you say, Benetton is sharper, you know. It's concerning that the Sharks are not sharp, because they didn't have, yes, in the beginning, in the start, you thought, okay, there was that hope, because look good
yeah,
tempo, that okay, they can. It's away from home, it's been a rough few weeks, they can do something, but nothing, And for me, I go back to, yes, the Boks are coming next week, and definitely there will be an improvement,
yeah.
but
There has
I
to be.
think there's still a I think there's still an issue in terms of, and hopefully they can sort of correct the course of the ship, or help, because it just looks like the guys are not, they're not finding that, because the defense tells you about the team's character, for
Yeah,
me. And, when you look at even some of those tries, yes, the tempo, quick ball, guys are getting in behind them, lapses in concentration, Estes, and all you need to do maybe just, touch the ball or give it to the ref, to and kill the play. But boom, and the thing
yeah,
is that they got hit three in a row, you know,
yeah,
and they couldn't. There was no comeback because even after halftime. So you think that after, yes, got hit three in a row, the guys that you got halftime, you know, it's they're gonna come out,
the
G'd
sermon
up, clear
wasn't
the
strong
plan.
enough. The sermon wasn't strong enough.
Yeah, yeah,
The guy
yeah,
that's now speaking,
yeah,
is that what you're
yeah,
alluding to? Is
yeah.
that what you're alluding to?
Let me explain. Let me explain, because they said I must explain. Let me explain. That's what I'm saying. That's my, because and you've got the quality guys there. You look at the roster,
Yeah,
you know, and I think I'm not saying, John Plumtree's a bad coach, but I'm saying he was at the Sharks, coaching the Sharks at a time where a different era, different kind of player, different kind of mindset. Now
yeah.
it's this Rock Nation in there,
So you're not
and
saying he's a bad coach, you're just saying he's an average coach.
I'm saying that he's not connecting with the guys. That's what I'm saying. I was saying he's not connecting with the guys. And right now they're pulling up average performances because,
Yeah,
and they're not average players. That's at the end of
yeah,
the day, they're not. And yes, you saw there's glimpses there. And that's what's the most frustrating thing is that you can see that no man, there's good elements here, but it's just not happening. And look, maybe the Boks when they come in, they'll help uh, correct the course. But I still think, and I'll go back to even from we started from Curry Cup, the start that JP had, and then yes, he got it
yeah,
right, and then when Plum came in, then things started to wobble, where now we were just it was amazing grace, and that's continued. There hasn't been an improvement,
yeah,
like in that sense, that step up and that stamp to say, okay, I mean, you got European Challenge Cup, you got Curry Cup. Now say, yeah, no, we win tournaments, but it's not looking like that right now, and it's a poor start, especially if you look at how the way where they are in the log, So yeah,
yeah. For me, the
hey,
thing is, you've got there's problems in terms of set piece. The scrums aren't good. Lineouts aren't
mm,
particularly good.
mm.
That's the basis of a lot of your play. They can throw the ball around a bit.
Yeah,
Ethan Hooker
they
went off
can.
early. Ethan Hooker went off early, which is also a disruption, and he's one of those game-breaking players that they had. They
Mm-hmm.
managed to keep Julius a bit quiet in this game. He couldn't break through.
Mm.
So when you've got two of your game breakers not necessarily having the impact you
And
would like, and they just to me it
Masuku's
looked
not on
like
form.
he's not on form, and it looked like
He's not on
they were
form.
missing a bit of creativity to break that defense. When you've got a defense
Mm,
that's it's that tough on the day, you need a bit of
mm.
creativity. You need a bit of if you're not going to have the brute force, then you need the creativity. You need something
Yeah,
else to
yeah,
break through. So I
yeah,
guess, but like I said, it's they just need to sharpen. They just need to sharpen, and we'll
yeah.
see what happens when they go home.
Yeah, look, fortunately, like it's still early days, 3 games
Yeah,
in, 4 games in, there's time, but not a lot of it, you
yeah.
know?
So again, I don't think I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater yet. I'm not, I'm not gonna scrap this
No,
whole team because it's the glimpses they're there. So we'll
yeah,
see. We'll see. I won't say plum out yet.
no, look, he's got a, the fact of the matter is that with the box coming in, most likely it's gonna push that conversation, you know? But if they
Yeah,
don't get the results, I'm talking 1, 2 games, then clearly, that will be, and even one is even, but yeah, 1, 2 games, then clearly it's for me, you know, maybe you must sing a guicho or something, or change. But no, I understand, still early days, but with this sort of quality,
yeah.
that you bring in, they've got to be better. They have to. Come on, quarters. You know,
Yeah, no, Plum, he needs to,
they've got to be
yeah,
better.
the voice
You
needs to
got
be
you
strong.
went, you got Chituka, and the guys you can see, man. James Feta, he's lifted the level, but it's just they're not. There's no. They're not a proper team.
Yeah,
There's not none of that togetherness. They haven't found that the thing.
yeah.
So yeah.
Let's move on. Moving on to the other team that also didn't have that thing this weekend. We're gonna go Edinburgh versus Stormers. You know what? Before this game, I thought the Stormers would do well simply for the fact that they'd been in Europe, whereas
Mm-hmm.
Edinburgh were coming home. But that looked to have energized Edinburgh that they were at
Yeah.
home because in the beginning they
Yeah.
came out with that energy. Also, Stormers, I mean, for me, particularly, like I'm not having a dig at the team. I'm not hating on
Yeah.
the Stormers, but realistically, this team is not better than they were last season.
Yeah,
They've
I was forced to review my thoughts, because yeah,
That's the thing for me is that I don't think they've improved from last season. And that's by their own standards, not by saying they're not as
mm,
good as this, they're not as
mm,
good as that. They've
mm,
had players
mm,
leave. They
yeah,
haven't brought in many players, and it's they've lost players to injury. So it's gonna be tough. This is exactly what happens. It's gonna be tough. Granted, they
yeah,
did fall on the wrong side of the whistle
yeah,
for
yeah,
many
a lot
things
of
in this game. Many
yeah,
things in this
lot,
game.
a
In that
lot,
one try, Morabe, where Willemse went over and was ruled out because Morabe, I think it was a knock or whatever. The fly half was offside. That should
yeah,
have been a yellow card.
yeah,
There were plenty other things. There was a ball stolen on the ground that led to a try that shouldn't have been. And then on top of that, when you look at scrumming, at the scrum, there were some very, very questionable calls. So I will give them that they did fall on the wrong side of the whistle. And there was a time where, I mean, at halftime, 7, and then
mm,
they went over and they had a try disallowed. It would have been
yeah,
14-12,
yeah,
14-14. So they would have been in with a chance. So that, like I say, I'm not bashing the team, but it's just it's gonna be more difficult, especially with you don't have your
eh,
Faris there, you don't have your Russ there, you've lost a few players. It's gonna be more difficult this season.
yeah, yeah. Look, and at the same time, though, when you look at the opportunities that they were able to create as much as they were on the wrong side of the whistle. um, they still showed that they've good enough
Yeah,
to create those situations, you know, and like you say, the standards that by their own standards, the lack of execution, the lack of accuracy, it's just compounding on the already like the situation that you mentioned, guys out, guys missing, and yeah, it's not helping them, but at the same time, it's for me, I still think there's, we saw some very good play from them where you can
yeah,
see that, okay, they've got it, but it's just, they've just, again, they've lost the way a little bit. And the personnel does contribute to that. And I know you've been saying that, it's a ticking time bomb. So, it's just, you'd think that with guys that are, some new box, some box coming, that it'd lift the whole group,
yeah.
to that standard. But yeah, it's just not quite there, But I'm not yet also throwing the baby out to the bathwater with them,
Yeah, it's the same for me. Like that, they'll still get wins. They were in it in this
Mm,
game to the point where they could have won this
mm,
game. It was just like I said, unfortunate refereeing interpretations, and especially with Schickerling with that rip where they said the knee was on
mm.
the ground. I mean, another day that would have just been given as a try.
Yeah,
So
considering the referee was looking right at it. I mean, if you look at the
yeah,
the replay,
yeah, so for me, I'm also not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think they'll still win games, very capable of winning games. They can put together
mm,
spurts of tries and magic in games when you have guys, especially like Halan coming back in there,
yeah,
that they
and,
they
and
have they have moments. They have moments where they
yeah,
can break through and make those kind of plays. So they will win games this season, but
but they can't
it's
rely on
gonna be
moments, eh?
difficult.
You can't rely on just solely moments. It's got to be more. They didn't do what they did last week,
Yeah.
because as well there's a different opposition, and it just tougher, and they couldn't just do the basics, or what they showed in last week, which is for them. I think that would be super disappointing because they couldn't even do that, you know,
But again, it was
consistently,
Italian opposition. Italian opposition is useless. So like they had scrums. They were dominating in the scrum in that game. Their lineouts were almost perfect in that game. Dweba was the guy throwing in. Hugo Fento was this week. So you make up your mind
Mm,
what changed there. The
mm.
scrums they were against Piers Kuman, and those are
Yeah,
now proper internationals that you're now
yeah.
scrumming against. Paul
Mm,
Brock Harris
mm.
scrumming at this age, but it was more difficult. It was a tougher
Yeah,
test,
yeah,
but they were
yeah.
still they still had a shot. They still had a shot. So
Look, they still have
again,
a shot, man.
again, not gonna be too harsh on them. Not because really they could have
Yeah,
done
yeah, because then
something.
it's a different story,
Yeah,
It's a different conversation because now things, but yeah, you'd hope for them they can, fix things.
yeah. Even them when they go home now, Mani, he's come off the honeymoon there. He'll be a man. He'll be refreshed. They've got some
He'll
some
be a
some
bad.
players they left back at home that
Munster.
maybe can integrate there. So hopefully they can, kickstart their season there.
Yeah,
Uh,
hopefully, but it'll be a tough one, Munster. But yeah, look,
we'll see. Now let's go to another unbeaten team in the
yeah,
URC.
looking good
Besides
at the
the
top, eh?
Bulls and Leinster, it's the Lions against Dragons. Before this game, Nico Steyn playing 10 was the main news. It's Curry Cup
Mm.
continuity. Um, and I think he did well. Lions did well. The biggest thing for me in this was they stuck to the processes throughout. They stuck to the
And
processes. Yep,
and they got the results without necessarily playing their best, which was for me was key. You
yeah,
know, they weren't at the and also away from home. That's for me. That's
yeah.
a good start, positive sign. In terms of where their mindset is at and their growth as a team is at.
Yeah, for me also Dragons. I feel like Dragons are a nice measuring stick in terms
Mm,
of where you are, especially playing away, because they're a decent team. Offset piece,
mm,
they've got some nice moves there. But Lions, they showed up and they stuck to those processes. When it came
yeah,
to the scrums, they were solid. When it came to the lineouts, they were solid enough. When it came to the patterns that they play, the way that they play, they did it to get that spark, to get that breakthrough.
yeah,
Yonka, he that flair, he put Jared Cairns
mm,
in for a nice try. He was man of the match.
yeah, it was
And
big,
yeah,
yeah,
my main thing was that these guys, the set piece was still reliable. Landsberg went off, unfortunately, but the guys stepped in there. They were still managed to do well at lineout, do well at scrum time, put together
mm.
those attacks. Nohamba came on, Van Veek came on, and they saw the game out perfectly.
Van Beek's looking good, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's looking
He's looking
hungry. But
good.
the problem is Cronje is there, and Cronje is also
Yeah.
playing well. And this also
Mm,
this thing is driving me crazy. I won't lie. This thing of
yeah.
Nohamba's on the bench, so he's leaving. Nohamba's on the bench, Van Veek is on the bench, and Marius Lowe is on the bench. All of
Mm,
those guys are starters. But
yeah.
it's just continuity from the Curry Cup where they just said, okay, let's let these guys have a run. And look what happened.
Mm,
Jonker landed up setting up that try.
yeah.
Nico Stain played well. It's there's no need to force your starters back in a long competition where you can have rotations
Yeah.
and you can have guys coming off the bench. Because look what
And you're
happened.
going to
Those
need
guys
them.
came on 60 minutes and they saw the game out.
Mm. And you're going to need them, like in terms of building up the different scenarios, going forward. You've got injuries, so you want guys that would have had minutes, seen the pictures that they needed to see, so
Yeah,
that when called upon, they can deliver. So yeah, and I think the rotation is working. They're getting it right because at the end of the day, the important thing is the win. And they got it, and like you say, they stuck to the processes, and they got the job done. Yes, they'll want to be a bit sharper in different areas, capitalize
yeah,
more on their opportunities. Because it won't be it don't always work out there in their favor. So yeah, I think the rotation that they've got going is good, and credit to the coaches for giving the guys opportunity and going,
yeah,
with that continuity, because it's paying off. And we've said it before, I think that's what energizes the whole sort of union as a whole is the fact that they know, there's opportunity, and I think everybody's
yeah.
clear on what the standards are to get in, So yeah,
Because Nico Stain, they could have just said our 9 and 10 is Faf Light Nohamba, go back to
mm,
I think he's over under 21 now. So it's like, yeah, you're gonna play scrap games, European
mm,
competition. They could have easily done that. They could have
yeah,
easily just discarded him and say, okay, back to where you were. Yonka, the same thing. They could have said, yeah,
mm,
you can just wait for Curry Cup next year or wait for one of these
no,
guys to get injured. But they've integrated them here and they've carried on that continuity. And it's it's
yeah,
it's worked perfectly for me.
yeah,
So I'm happy with it. The scrum, like I said, strong enough to where Van den Berg could have that snipe once they got in behind, know how to
mm,
finish it there. Disruptions, Niku Stain, the interception was a bit of a disruption. Franco
yeah,
Maria as well, the yellow card, a bit of
yeah,
a
yeah,
disruption. Franco Maria, though, I think it's a great signing and it's just given us the depth at hooker that I didn't think we had before. So
mm.
I'm happy. I'm happy. I can't
No, yeah.
complain with my team at the
So you
moment.
should be. So you
Yeah,
should be,
no. So
cause
I'm happy with my team, man. I'm happy with my team.
so you should be, man. But yeah, hey, look, and you got what Zebre next. So
Yeah.
what? Hopefully it's another good one
Yeah,
there.
no, it's another
For
it's another week undefeated. That's all I'm gonna say. It's another week undefeated.
yeah.
Those URC final tickets. Should I purchase them now
No, you got to buy
or
them
when
now,
should I
eh?
purchase them?
Buy them now. I'm backing them with you, quarters. I'm backing them with you.
Yeah, let me just pull up the fixtures here. We've got Bulls versus Scarlets, Lions versus
Mm-hmm.
Zebra, Sharks versus the
Shucks.
Warriors at
I know
home.
when I saw that one, I was just like, yo, no. You know, it's because of the way that the Warriors play, you
Yeah.
know.
But we'll see. You see us there. He's maybe his
Yeah,
voice. His voice. He's been on a run. He's been on a run all around
yeah.
SA. He's been doing his PR run. So maybe that can reinvigorate. Now he was going to Weinberg Boys, the
You
women's
know,
team. Now he's gonna do it for the Sharks. He's saying what
he's
you've done
gonna
for others, also do for us now.
do for us.
Yeah, also do for us now.
Please, please. Yo, I know, because look, this is gonna be one hell of
Yeah.
a test for these guys, you know. At home, yeah, but backs against the wall. They gotta please show us something.
Please show us something. And then Stormers hosting Munster. I think, yeah, that one it'll be tight. It'll be a tight game. It'll be good
Yeah,
to watch.
it
We'll
will
see what
be.
happens. Excited for the lineup. So that any closing remarks from you?
No, I still stick with please show us something. That's like I dare you. I dare them. Please, we need it. And it's against the champs, right? So yeah, show
Yeah,
us.
yeah, sure. So I think that's it from us, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.